So I'm a big fan of the GH series of cameras by Panasonic. I've got the GH2, the GH3, which I recently sold. I'm shooting this now with the GH4. I love the Micro Four Thirds form factor. I have a bunch of lenses, my favorite of which is the Voigtlander 17.5 0.95 Nocton, beautiful lens. But I'm a big fan of the GH series of cameras. So a month ago I pre-ordered the GH5 and I'm very excited to get the GH5. There's so much to look forward to in the GH5. Most of all, the 5-axis stabilization, which is fantastic to get smooth handheld shots, to get some stabilization with my manual lenses, that's fantastic. The 180p to get nice smooth slow motion, fantastic. So I'm very excited about the camera. One of the things that the camera really advertises is the ability to record 422 10-bit internally. And this is a very controversial subject. So when I read this, I thought, oh, that's great. You know, I don't have to get an external recorder to do 422, fantastic. And that got me excited initially, but then yesterday I read this review on Cinema 5D, which kind of shows that the 422 is no better than 420. He did a bunch of tests and he showed that there's no real gain in shooting 422, but is that really surprising? I also watched this fantastic video on Dave Dugdale's channel about the difference between 422 and 420, and in the video he links to a professional colorist / cinematographer who goes into DaVinci with a bunch of different files and he compares them.
Compression is exactly the same amount. So the only difference we're seeing here is 8-bit, so that's 10-bit, that's 8-bit.
And it's not black and white. It seems to me that things are very specific to the camera. You can't make a blanket statement that 8-bit is always worse than 10-bit. In his test, he took raw files from, I don't remember if it's the Blackmagic cinema camera or a Red or something, took the raw files, converted them to 10-bit and 8-bit, and in that case, the 10-bit was better than the 8-bit, but if you take 8-bit as recorded by the Sony A7R2, take that 8-bit and it does really well.
How good does this look, right? You would expect this to be the absolute worst.
So 8-bit can do really well for certain cameras in certain situations. The point of the story is 8-bit and 10-bit won't always show you a big difference, and it's also specific to the camera and specific to the situation, and you really have to test it yourself before you know. So it might not be that surprising that the difference between 8-bit and 10-bit, according to this guy's tests, aren't that much. But on the other hand, maybe it's disappointing because it's a big selling point for the camera and you would expect 422 10-bit to be better than 8-bit. Otherwise, what's the point in having that feature? So that's one thing to consider. The second thing is dynamic range. According to this guy's tests, he said that the GH5 only has 10 stops of usable dynamic range, which is a bit disappointing. You really want to have more dynamic range these days if you want to get a beautiful cinematic image. And a lot of people also really value the use of log. There's a lot of LUTs out there and log seems to be a really valuable tool to have. And this guy from Cinema 5D, and thank you very much, I don't remember his name, but thank you so much for doing this brave review. He's getting a lot of resistance for doing this review. And I'm not really qualified to comment. I don't know if some of the resistance is justified or if it's not justified. Either way, it's brave to go against the stream and make his views known. Anyway, so according to his review, he says the V-Log on the GH5 and GH4 is really not usable for banding reasons and noise reasons, and it's not really reliable. So the GH5, according to this guy, bad V-Log, which you have to pay for, by the way, and also it has standard dynamic range. So that's a bit of a disappointing fact, potentially, about the GH5. So after reading this Cinema 5D review, I think a lot of people might reconsider whether or not they want to buy the GH5, and that's a sensible thing to do. even I thought about it. Is the GH5 the right choice for me? I've already pre-ordered it. Should I cancel it? Should I get another camera? So I've decided I'm still going to get the GH5. There may still be ways to get more dynamic range by tweaking the camera settings, maybe not, but there's so many things I like about the GH cameras. I like all the functionality, all of the peaking, just the ergonomics of the camera. There's so many functions in these GH cameras that I like. I'm used to the cameras. Like I said, I've had the GH2, 3, 4. So I'm still excited about the camera, and just something as simple as the flip out screen. That's very important to me because I do vlogging, and that's a very important thing to have if you're going to do vlogging. I wish it had phase detection autofocus. I'm very curious to see how good the new autofocus, the additional points and faster processing, allowing for supposedly better autofocus. It's still contrast detection autofocus, but I'm hoping it's going to be a good improvement because that's important for vlogging. I found with the GH4 and 3, you may have been seeing this video, you go in and out of focus now and then, and for vlogging that is a problem. But nonetheless, I'm still going to stick with the GH5, and yeah, this review does raise some alarming points about the GH5. So there will be a link to the article, to the Cinema 5D article below for you to check out and consider before you go ahead and buy the GH5, and also a link to the Dave Dugdale 10-bit, 8-bit video, which is a long video but a very good video. You can look at that video too, and you can consider all of this before buying the GH5. I'm not a technical expert, so I'm not really qualified to have an opinion. As I said, Cinema 5D, he's creating a lot of waves with his review, and I respect him for his bravery. Could he be wrong in some cases? Maybe. I'm not qualified to know for sure. I hope to get to a point where I can do those kinds of tests, but I think that is the key. You got to take the camera, you got to play with different settings, you got to put it into color grading applications, you got to push it, you got to do all of that before you'll have a good handle on the camera's limitations. And yeah, I'm still going to go with the GH5. I'm hoping it's the right decision. One thing I do need to highlight is the firmware used in the Cinema 5D test might be a pre-production firmware. Maybe not, it might be very similar to the one we get when we get the camera. But it is possible, not probable, but possible that there will be some updates to the firmware which may fix some of the vlog problems and may improve some of the issues that he highlights in his review. But as I said, probably not. Anyway, check out the Cinema 5D review, check out the color grading Dave Dugdale 8-bit, 10-bit video. Thanks for watching. Yeah, that's it. Ciao for now. Bye.